All right, it's time for the new book review video. Hold on, don't turn it off yet. At least stick around for the Donald Goines review, because it's awesome. All right, first up, Donald Goines' Crime Partners. This edition is from 2008. It's put out by Kensington House. These guys aren't even in the book. There's two cops, but one's white and one's black. What were they thinking? We're not going to use this one. We're going to use this one, which is the original pressing put out by Holloway House in 1974. Donald Goines, 1936 to 1974, had a tumultuous life, to say the least. Though he grew up in a middle-class family in north central Detroit in the 40s, he dropped out of school in the 9th grade at the age of 15, got a fake birth certificate, and joined the Air Force during the Korean War. It was during his time in Korea that he discovered heroin. He returned to Detroit and became a pimp and a drug dealer. He was in and out of prison for armed robbery and bootlegging whiskey. While incarcerated, he became interested in writing. At first, he tried his hand at westerns, having loved watching the movies on TV when he was a kid. He came upon a novel called Trick Baby by Chicago pimp author Iceberg Slim, and he was inspired to ditch the westerns and write about the world that he knew. He cranked out 16 books in 4 years, 8 of them in 1974. He would shoot heroin and blast out the stories like Stephen King, coked out on Christine, always needing that paycheck to pay for his next fix. Goines was tragically murdered along with his girlfriend in their apartment on October 21st, 1974. Both were shot 5 times by 2 white men while their 2 toddler children watched. To this day, it is still unsolved. There has been speculation that Goines, who often included real people from the street in his books, possibly rubbed someone the wrong way. It could have also been money owed for drugs. Maybe it was a robbery gone bad. Ironically, the beginning of the book in this review, Crime Partners, starts off in a similar way. All right, Crime Partners is first in a 4-part series featuring Kenyatta, who's the leader of a black militant extremist group. All 4 came out in 1974, with the 5th being 1975-ish. They are Crime Partners, this one that we're reviewing now. There is Death List, Kenyatta's Escape, and then last, Kenyatta's last hit, which technically was from 1975, but it was like on his typewriter as he was murdered, which was in 1974, so it came out posthumously in 1975. A little background on Kenyatta. He's named after Jomo Kenyatta, who is the Prime Minister of Kenya from 63 to 64, and then became Kenya's first president from 64 to 78. He was an African nationalist and led the Kenyan African National Union, which helped separate Kenya from a colony of the British Empire into an independent republic. Little history lesson for you. The basic premise of this book: 2 hitmen recently released from jail team up with the black extremist group led by Kenyatta to take out cops and drug dealers from their neighborhood in 1970s Detroit. This is like the 5th time I've tried to record this. I used some language in it that I thought might get flagged, so we're going to undo it, so I might say some off-center things, but you'll get the gist. All right, the title Crime Partner characters are Billy and Jackie. They are 2 hitmen recently released from prison, and they need some money. So what are they going to do? They're going to go rob a junkie, which I don't know if you know anything about that world, but junkies don't have money. You don't rob junkies. Junkies rob you. Either way, it gives the characters a situation to show that they are not just ruthless killers, that they have a little bit of morality. They're not stone cold. They have a little bit of heart. And then they kill the junkies. Because this first chapter has one of the most difficult chapters of any book that I've ever read. It is very bleak and sad, and it involves a child, and it will make you question whether you even want to continue reading this book. But you should continue to read on because of rules, and it's not as bleak, I guess. It's pretty bleak. The whole thing's bleak, but it's not as bad as this beginning. The next characters we're introduced to are the two that would be on the cover of the Kensington house. 2 police officers, 2 homicide officers. One is black, one is white. Benson and Ryan. They're investigating the junkies' murder. Who did it? You know, Billy and Jackie. Spoiler. Big surprise. No, it's not a spoiler. You know it's coming. You know it. You know it right at the beginning. Anyway, they're investigating it. While investigating it, Benson walks around to the back of the house, the black officer, and a white cop pulls his gun on him, and he's like, "Put your hands up." And Benson is just like, I'm not explaining to this subordinate who I am. He plays it cool, whatever. The white cop says derogatory terminology. Benson's partner, Ryan, comes running up, says, "Ho, ho, ho there, put your gun down, son." Goes off on the white cop, goes off on him. I think it's interesting that Goines used the scenario where the officer points the gun at Detective Benson to show the racial prejudice. It hits harder than if he had just done a street scenario where the white cop picks a black person off the street and does something shitty. It's like, even being a cop will not stop this hatred. It was powerful. It was a powerful way to describe this. To describe what it's like, you know? And to add to the complexity, like Ryan, the white partner of Benson, he's absolutely livid about the racist attitudes toward his partner. And in the scene, Goines shows 2 sides of the coin, which I just thought was like completely fair. Like, if it was written today, it would have been heavy-handed, for or against, with no shades of gray. This is a guy who was in prison. I'm sure he met some really shitty cops. And just for him to write this, I don't know, I guess I appreciated like his honesty, his balance. Then the perspective switches back to Billy and Jackie. They need new guns. They have a connection named Kenyatta. We've explained who that is. Kenyatta explains to them that when he sells them guns, it's less guns for his people. Then we learn that he is the leader of the radical black militant group whose plan is to clean up the streets of Detroit in the urban areas by removing prostitutes, drug dealers, and racist cops. Kenyatta appreciates the reputation that Billy and Jackie have as stone-cold killers and enlists them for the mission. And what is the mission? This is what we had to reword. He plans to erase from existence a racist cop, the one who pointed the gun at Benson, and the fellas are all in. So it all wraps around, which is even more brilliant, that he gave you the scenario. He's like, here, we're going to have to take someone out. But it can't just be on the word of Kenyatta. I'm going to show you first. You didn't even know you were being shown. It was brilliant. Brilliant stuff. From then on, we see the world and ideals of Kenyatta through the eyes of Billy and Jackie. They're shown love and respect and are treated like family. They meet some lovely ladies. And there's some touching moments. Like, it's not just all bleak, you know. It's not completely without hope. Then they murder some more people. I mean, they don't take out anybody who you're going to cry over. I mean, come on. Drug dealers, kind of mafia, I guess, guys. Fuck those guys. This book does not have a straightforward plot. It's more of like snippets of the landscape of 70s urban Detroit and the politics of the time, the attitudes of the time, the world of crime, I guess, the crime overlapping with politics. There is a plot. The plot's there, but it's the characters 100% that make up this book, that make it. It's the scenarios, the characters' scenarios, and the reactions and the attitudes that make this thing amazing. It's amazing. This is an amazing book. There's no clear-cut good guys versus bad guys. I think that in Goines' world, like, everything is a shade of bad. Like, there's little snippets of light shining through, but it's very, I don't know. I don't want to say lacking morality, because it does have morality. I don't know. It's hard to explain. This is a deep book. This is a deep book for me to do. I usually do ridiculous stuff like The Crown, which is next, which you'll see is just ridiculous. So, let's move forward. As far as the writing goes, it's a little amateurish, I guess you could say, especially in the phrasing of the dialogue, not the slang. That's perfect. Sometimes they'll say like each other's names at the beginning of each sentence, and it's really awkward. Small gripe. The detective character storyline just gradually kind of disappears. Maybe they're in the next one. I don't know. Maybe it comes back. Maybe they're the ones that are after Kenyatta eventually. But in this one, they're kind of just there at the beginning and then fade away. It's almost like he set out to write this like homicide detective crime story, and then he came up with the Kenyatta plot line and just thought that was more interesting and just went that way and just left the other behind. This book is not for the faint of heart. No one was writing stuff like this. Goines was a trailblazer. On a shelf of gritty, hard-boiled fiction books, his stand out as the bleakest and unfortunately the most realistic. But he also adds a layer of heart and remorse and kinship and honor, and this is must-read material for anyone interested in the crime fiction genre. How many thumbs? All of them. We're giving them all the thumbs. All the fingers, they're thumbs. They're up. Good job, Donald Goines. Next up is The Crown, #1, The Sweet and Sour Kill by Terry Harknett. Originally published by Futura Books, 1974. This is the Pinnacle version, also from 1974. Terry Harknett, 1936 to 2019, was a UK author of crime and Western fiction, including the notorious Edge series. Pseudonyms include Frank Chandler, George G. Gilman, Adam Hardy, Jane Harmon, Joseph Hedges, William M. James, Charles R. Pike, William Pine, Thomas H. Stone, and William Terry. I put all my effort into the Goines research, so sorry, Mr. Harknett. So you got a little shorter version. The basic premise. Grandpa and Grandma Chang have closed their Hong Kong Island tailor shop for the night. Two hoods break in, hoodlums, demand insurance money, extortion money. The Changs reply that they've already paid this insurance money. The thugs say too bad. There's a new company in town, us. They smash up the place, they smash up the Changs, and they burn down the building. Their cop grandson, Po Chang, is back from his U.S. trip. He arrives on the scene in time to run into the building and grab Grandpa Chang for his dying words, "Insurance!" Now with his Australian-born boss partner, John Crown, they hit the Hong Kong crime underground in search of this new murderous faction moving into their city. What we have here is violent revenge justice mixed with kung fu B-movie action. This was written in 1974, which was the zenith for both of those genres. The relationship of the tough-talking Australian cop and the more soft-spoken Chinese cop reminded me a little bit of Big Trouble in Little China, which is my favorite John Carpenter movie. It's his best. You want to give me... What's your favorite? What's your favorite? I was going to be a jerk, but you know what? Let's hear your opinion. Po Chang is the native. He's a master of kung fu, and he's dead set on revenge, as he should be. He's angry and always on the verge of losing control, but he knows how to stop right at the edge of the line, and the story focuses mainly on him. He's the main protagonist, I would say, even though it's called Crown. Crown, on the other hand, his introduction starts with him chugging whiskey from the bottle, hanging out in a brothel. He's not there to get laid. He just likes to hang out there. He's an alcoholic, macho, Australian white guy in a foreign world where he just barrels through the people and the society with zero regard to proper police procedure. Crown has this sad backstory where his wife and his children left him to go back to Australia. I think it's supposed to be to make him a sympathetic character, but it just made me laugh. He was a dick. You're a dick and your family left you. It's funny. There are hilarious interactions with Po Chang and this woman that he met on the plane. So after the incident with Grandpa, he runs to this woman's apartment. How he has the address, I don't know. He borrows her car. He goes to the gangster's house to question him. Gangsters fucking steal a car, and then they wreck it. Then he takes Crown back to her apartment, where Crown proceeds to argue with her. She suggests that maybe he's a crooked cop. He doesn't like this, and he fucking hits her. He backhands her so hard that she flips out of her chair. Not funny, stop laughing. Crown leaves. She then immediately sleeps with Po Chang while making cheesy sexual innuendo jokes about outlets and getting it into the right places. Post-coitus, there's a knock on the door. More gangsters. She gets hit over the head with the butt of a gun. She's passed out. Po Chang kung fu's their motherfucking asses out the door. That part ruled. She comes back to consciousness. He starts apologizing again. You know, first it's his partner. He's like, that guy sucks, right? Then it's the gangsters. He's like, oh man, sorry about that. You gotta. What does she do? She gets up, makes some more sexual innuendo jokes, and then sucks Chang's wang. This is what we're dealing with. This is the kind of book we're dealing with here. This is an investigation novel worthy of a 70s sleazy cop show. It's seedy and scummy. There is parts where they go to a gay cowboy bar and they use the other F word liberally. Unfortunately, that sucks. Not cool. Not cool, Crown. There is an uber rich evil white American guy who has this yacht and he's pulling the strings. There's double crosses, drugs, explosions, tough violent cops, reserved violent criminals, you know, like they're in the situation where they become like the everyday businessman, like I'm an upstanding citizen now, but then the cops push him to the limits and he's spitting in his face, but the criminal has to remain cool and calm. I love that. I love when that happens in stories, TV shows, movies, whatever. I mean, what do you expect? It's called The Sweet and Sour Kill. What were you thinking was going to happen? It's dumb. It's dumb, fun. It was exciting. It was cool. I didn't know who the bad guy was. It was a little mysterious. It's kind of stupid climax, but I don't know. It was great. It could have used a little more kung fu, though. Up the kung fu level just a little bit. It's the first one. Maybe there's more kung fu. What kind of thumb up do we give Crown? Are we drinking? No. Karate chop kung fu? Last up, Caviar by Theodore Sturgeon, Del Rey Books, originally from 1955. This is the fourth printing from 1977. Cover art by Daryl Sweet. Theodore Sturgeon is a very well-known author, so we're just going to give him a quick rundown bio basics here. He was born Edward Hamilton Waldo, 1918 to 1985. His name was legally changed to Theodore Sturgeon at the age of 11. He is mostly known for writing science fiction, but dabbled in other genre fiction such as horror and fantasy. He also wrote several episodes for the original series of Star Trek, including creating the Vulcan saying, "Live long and prosper." That's all you need to do in your entire fucking lifetime is make that up, and I will be impressed. Fun fact, Sturgeon was the influence for Kurt Vonnegut's character Kilgore Trout. There you go. Caviar is a collection of stories originally published in various pulps throughout the years 1941 to 1955. I've been wanting to read some more after being introduced to him in the Men's Adventure Library Journal collection. I would hold it up, but it's all packed up. Here, I'll hold up the picture. Atomic Werewolves and Man-Eating Plants. Sturgeon's story, The Blonde with a Mysterious Body, was odd and very David Lynch-like, and I was enamored by it. I was like, this is fucking amazing. I want to read more of this Sturgeon guy. So I found this short story collection hoping that it would be very similar in style. Is it? No. So this is an anthology, so I figured I'm going to just do it really fast. Each story. Here we go. Number 1, Bright Segment. Eccentric low IQ outcast picks up a bleeding girl after she's been thrown from a moving car and nurses her back to health. It says slow pacing. Lots of inner monologue. Almost zero dialogue. He sets up not a weird atmosphere, but an off-putting one. But it's tender with a layer of violence just under the skin waiting to burst out. I think if you're into any of those horror movies where people are being held against their will, that you would probably be into this. I can't stand those movies, so I did not like this one. Thumbs down. Number 1, thumbs down. Number 2, Microcosmic God. Eccentric scientist inventor secludes himself on an island he bought with money from his inventions. He creates a micro-species of super-intelligent beings called the Neuroterics. And then he gets attacked by a banker. Here we go. We got a slow start again. There's lots of backstory to the scientist. And I was actually kind of amazed that Sturgeon could fit so much into so little of a space. It was such a lush character background, and it gives a complete and realistic personality in a tiny short story. It was amazing. Thumbs up for that part, Theodore Sturgeon. At the same time, it's not very exciting. I kept waiting for something to happen, and in my opinion, it took way too long. The cover artwork on this anthology depicts the story with the city of the Neuroterics under the microscope. It was hokey, and it reminded me of the Star Trek Next Generation nanites. You know, that was like one of the worst episodes, which is probably where they got the idea from this story, because he used to write for Star Trek. So they are aware of the guy. So maybe this is the proto-nanite here. That doesn't sound any better, does it? Once something finally does happen, it's about as enjoyable as a Diet Coke. There's no sugar to this. It's not fun. Third story, Ghost of a Chance. A guy meets skinny, cute girl at night and instantly falls in love. It happens to all of us. She acts paranoid, like someone is following her, and she runs away. He bumps into her again and continues his courtship, even though she says for his benefit he should just go away. Just listen to her, dude. Just listen to him. No? Okay. Move along. Spoiler alert, it's a ghost. You see it coming? I don't think it's a spoiler. It's obvious. It's obvious as fuck. This thing was really lame. It was cutesy, and the premise is stupid, and it had like a third grade creative writing feel to it. It was poorly written. In the story, there's a psychiatrist who's a friend of the guy who likes the girl being haunted, and she used to be his patient. But the guy met her they're like some giant city. I don't know. It was lame. It was all around lame. 2 thumbs down for that one. Story 4. I almost quit. I almost didn't even make it to this story. Prodigy. In a dystopian future, there are mutant children with incredible powers. There is an institute that gasses the children when they are too much of a threat. Not sure what to say here. If you enjoy children getting annihilated, getting slaughtered, then you should check this out. Mutant children with psi abilities, that's a fun idea. All the focus is on this nun psychiatrist nurse lady who takes care of the children and decides who lives and who dies. It was such a bummer. This story was such a bummer. It was really sad. And at one point, one of the biological moms steals, like, the kid, and then she has him for 2 days, and then she brings him back to the institute and is like, just gas him. I'm not the brightest crayon in the box, but I totally missed the point on this. It just seemed without point, like just a random story about children getting gassed. Not enjoyable. 3 thumbs down. 4, 5, 6. Do we keep reading? I just kept reading. There has to be one. There has to be a good one. Up next, story 5, Medusa. 6 astronauts are sent into space to turn off a force surrounding a planet that makes people go mad. All right, now we're getting into the weird that I was looking for. Each of the astronauts is told that they are the only sane ones on board. Not only that, but the other astronauts who have been picked are not only experts at their jobs, but they've already gone mad. So the psi abilities of the planet will not affect them. This was a total psychological mind fuck. It's like you are on this journey and you don't know if you are the sane one or one of the crazy ones. This is by far the best story, and it's pulpy, fun. Yeah, this is exactly what I was looking for. So finally, we get a thumbers. We get a thumbs up. A thumbers. What the fuck is a thumbers? Number 6, Blabbermouth. Another pulpy tale about a woman who gets juicy information about people from a hateful poltergeist, and she has no choice but to tell the parties involved. This one was also more fun than the rest. The premise is cheeky Twilight Zone, and would have been another stinker if not for the added weirdness that Sturgeon threw in there. Like the Microcosm God story, this is another one where he jam-packs a lifetime into 10 pages. It's amazing that he can do that. We'll give it 1 thumb up. It wasn't that exciting. Just 1 thumb up. Number 7, Shadow Shadow on the Wall. Evil stepmom mentally abuses young boy who likes to play shadow puppets on the wall. One day the shadow comes to life, and guess who pays the price? It's a pretty basic story where you see the end coming from a mile away. Definitely a quick, pulpy story. I feel like even in 1950 this was originally published. The evil step-parent who gets their comeuppance is a well-worn trope. Final story, Twink. A dad worries about his baby named Twink after he rolls his car. This one was pretty annoying. It's a mystery with the build-up being, what's wrong with Twink? It goes on and on about dad mentally having a guilty breakdown of worry. Lackluster twist ending. I don't give a shit about Twink. By the end of it, I really was just like, man, I don't give a fuck about Twink. Not to mention, it's stupid. It's a stupid climax. Yeah, overall, very disappointing collection. I had such high expectations. Maybe Sturgeon is like one of those bands where you like a few songs a lot, but you don't care for their others. I am curious to check out one of his full-length books. Maybe it's better. I don't know. If you got a suggestion where to start, that'd be great. I don't know for anthologies. It was more down. It was more down than up. How about this? What's this? I'm throwing up gang signs. This is a thumbs down, happy, thumb down. And that's the end. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, why don't you go ahead, hit that button. Is it over here? I don't know. I never know because you're flipped around. Watch one of these videos. You know.